Welcome to Living La Vita Loca podcast, a retro gaming podcast for some of your retro gaming needs. My name is Faz, and there is no Rich here. I'm doing a live dispatch from Horsforth Brewery on the retro gaming night called Beers and Bytes. I am joined by @ScottMassey83 from Instagram, who is a very good friend of the podcast. He supports the pod with collaboration posts and does some amazing work. And he's here on his own volition. He enjoys actual gaming. Say hello, Scott.
Hello.
Scott's a bit concerned that he might not be doing the funniest stories ever, but I don't believe him. I mean, we've had a really good night tonight, and it's been really nice to meet him. I guess a couple of questions. Scott, you're a content creator, but a gamer at heart. I've asked you before about your gaming room, and you said it's 9x3. And how do you get on with such a small space within your house, holding so many gaming memories?
It's basically my office because, like I said, my wife, she got fed up of working next to me, so she said I had to go and find an office, which was basically her just telling me that she don't love me anymore. But I'm dealing with that as time passes. Sat in a room, in a 6x9 room, which is a similar size to a prison cell, but thankfully I've managed to fill it with plenty of entertainment. That's where I store most of my PlayStation and Nintendo stuff, but there is still stuff in the loft. So
you told me you're from Castleford for the people outside of this podcast, and you felt a strong affinity to Barnsworth. In thank goodness you're here. And when we reviewed that game on the podcast. Do you feel you're as backwards as Barnsworth in Cass, or I think you're doing all right, don't you?
Probably. I can relate to a lot of characters on it. That's one of the things, is that I know that the chaps that wrote it based it on certain people from a documentary I watched on it, and we've got similar characters in town I grew up in as well. So it is one of them that's it's, and as you can probably tell by my accent, if you've actually played the game, I sound like quite a lot of the characters in the game as well.
There's a character who's just standing there kicking the shit out of a trolley. I think he's just going kicking things. I've lived in Yorkshire for 20 years now, and I see people doing that. I see people kicking the shit out of trolleys for no reason.
I've seen a bloke taking a donkey for a walk on a council estate. Where he got the donkey from, I don't know.
No. If it's not got a cat sat on top of it, you know what I mean? Like, what's the point?
But also, when I've been to rugby as well, because with it being a rugby league town, they've come over the tannoy and saying, can anybody keep an eye out for the ferret that somebody's lost?
Oh, shit. You couldn't get a ferret with some rugby league shorts, though, could you? They're quite tight, aren't they? Like, as in, Cass Tigers aren't going to let a ferret in them.
Well, he didn't get on pitch because we didn't see it on pitch, but he was definitely running around stadium somewhere, which is it's just a thing that from a small town, it's just one of those things that happen, and you go, well, that's just what it is like round here. Somebody's decided to bring the ferret to a rugby game, and they've let it go. It's gone somewhere.
And that's why people from rugby union will never understand people from rugby league, because there's ferrets kicking about. So back to gaming then. You've given me a little bit of tour on a video of your gaming room. What's your favourite thing that you've got in your gaming room? Sorry, office, inverted commas.
Yeah, my office. One of my favourite, actually, it's a post that we're going to be doing. Before I was a collector or real into gaming, I used to work at a greengrocer's, and there was this little independent gaming shop in Castleford town centre, and I saved up my weekly wage at £15 a week, and they had this premium edition of Metal Gear Solid. So it's the big silver box with the game, the soundtrack, t-shirts, everything like that in, and I bought that, and I've kept it ever since. It's still in pretty much mint condition, but it's not technically not in my room, it's in the loft, because anything that's big stays in the loft out of the way. And I just love that, because it's just one of those things that I loved the game at the time.
Where did you get it from? Sorry,
it was just a little independent shop. I can't even remember what it was called, but it was just a little independent shop, gaming shop in Castleford town centre. It's not there anymore. It went years ago.
What's on the T-shirt? What's on the MGS T-shirt? Have you managed to fold it back into the? Did you get it out and look at it and fold it back in, or it's just stayed in the box?
Who
even knows?
So I've opened the box.
Definitely snake in a bandana, right?
Took the game out, played the game, didn't touch anything else in there. Put it all back in, but I just loved it all. It was really nice.
I know that's the problem with collecting, though, isn't it? Like, it looks so good in the box anyway. You don't want to get it out. I mean, because you've got a lot of controllers, for example, that you get out and you do actual, you adapt and you crack it open, I guess, with a screwdriver maybe, and you put buttons in them. Like, I feel like
put buttons in them. Oh God. That sounds difficult.
Yeah, no, it does to me. I'm a fucking idiot. So, but like, you've got several PS5 that I guess you've done your own thing to now, controllers, and that they've almost become a stalwart on your Instagram account.
Yeah, I've done sort of the standard white one and the black one. I did a version 1 and now I've just done a version 2 of them, trying to make them look a bit better, a bit more retro as well, looking like how I think Sony probably should have released them, which they do look nice, they do look great, but then again, there's a couple of guys on Instagram that know I've got a few of the limited edition controllers that are still sealed in the box, and that's basically down to the first one that I bought, which was the Spider-Man 2 controller, and I said to my daughter, have we to open this and play on PlayStation? And she went, no. And then I just haven't opened it because she hadn't let me, and then every other one that I bought has gone in that same scenario of I'm not allowed to open it.
Have you ran that by your daughter?
No, but I've applied that rule to myself, which is ridiculous. But just going back to actually what we were talking about before, the Metal Gear Solid thing, I think that's where my sort of love for the collections probably started. That's probably why it's one of my more favourite collections, because then after that there wasn't many sort of limited edition stuff on the PS2, and very few that were similar, or if any on the PS. Well, there was only one similar, the Final Fantasy VIII one. But then once the PS3 came out, there seemed to be a lot of collector's editions, and that's at the point where I was saying before, when I was working, I had my own place, I had my own money, so collector's editions, they were the first things to be pre-ordered straight away.
I mean, we've talked about it on the podcast very briefly before. I think it was to do with Driver San Francisco, and we were saying how you could get the collector's edition with the car, and I feel like it just takes a lot of space in your house to have that, but it looks so fucking awesome as well. So I always feel really conflicted about what I would get as a collector's edition. Are you selective about what you pick up anymore? Or
I am now. I never buy any collector's editions apart from steelbooks because they're the normal size as a disc, as a case. Sorry, so that's the only thing that I buy now will be a steelbook. I won't be buying any more big box stuff because,
really?
Like I said, my favourite one, the original one that started it, is in the loft with everything else.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
In the loft, I've got one on the PS3 era where there were quite a lot of them. I've got the full Hellgas head from Killzone 3. I've got the Soap McTavish head with the night vision goggles from Modern Warfare 2. I've got other big, and I've got the fact one of the things I've got for the PS2, which I need to probably get out and do a picture of at some point, is the worst controller ever, which is the Resident Evil 4 chainsaw controller, which is absolutely horrible.
The thing is, you're sort of saying it's the worst controller ever, yet there's people on the socials kind of going, "This is the best thing I own."
To look at, it's brilliant. To use it, it's I used it for about 30 seconds, and I nearly chucked it through the window.
Just going off on your front lawn, chopping begonias, like fuck off.
I nearly just had a box. it was ready to lock me launched.
It's like so weird because like those things they mean a lot. They mean a lot to you as a gamer, but they're sat in your loft. And it's almost a bit strange because a lot of people who collect things have them out on display, but there's only so much space you've got within your house, within your left wing of your house, etc., etc. Like, so it is hard to bring them out. Like, I find it very difficult to tie together in my own head that I'm like, I love collecting stuff, but having the actual space to display it to people that actually care about it that aren't me is quite difficult. So I imagine, you had some amazing posts on Instagram in the last sort of few weeks about PlayStation 3 magazines that I was extremely excited to see. But it's weird because they live behind a cupboard door in your house, but you love them all the same, right?
Yeah, and that's just because of how we designed sort of that cupboard. So the top half of it is all on display, video games, side facing on, and that's pretty much full now. But then at the bottom half, it's a bit more sort of the bigger, junkier stuff. And magazines on this don't look, to be honest, they don't look that attractive. There's not that much to them, and they're all.
But you made them look good on your post.
I do on the post when they're laid out. Yeah, I tried to make them look nice as best I can. But just on display, there's nothing really to display about them, unless they're going to be forward facing, which then you need a lot of room. You need basically newsagents.
Yeah, just get the plastic racking out and stuff. They're all your own. Those ones, I believe. Is that correct? As in, like, so what I mean is you haven't stolen them from somebody in the front yard. But as in, like, you've owned them since you bought them, and because they were worth money to you. Is that?
A lot of them, yeah. Because I subscribed to the magazine, so I paid for that subscription, and it wasn't cheap back in the day. And I'm one for. I always think I'll go back to it and read the review if I want to see a game coming out. When I did stop subscribing, it's because the internet was just faster at that point.
Yeah.
So like now every now and again, I do have a look on eBay and I do pick up a bundle if I can do, particularly if it's a game I'm wanting to play, just again to for that nostalgia, to go back and have a read and see what they were saying back in the day. Because I mean, I'm sure that I sent you some pictures as well of like scores of PSP games.
You helped me out big time in the recent weeks because. As people that might have listened to the podcast for a long time would know that last week or a couple of weeks ago even I said, look, Parappa, get in the bin. I can't remember what game it was in the free.
But it was the PSP version specifically.
But the PSP version specifically. So look, Parappa, me and you've got a complicated relationship in general, but with the PSP version. I was very upset about how that port went, but Scott over here, frankly, a stranger from the internet until we met tonight, and we contacted recently a lot of them.
First date's going well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I've told my wife about it. She's a bit concerned. She told me to ask Angela if there's whatever that is, the hand.
Oh yeah, the hand signal.
Yeah.
No, so I told my wife before I left, if I don't come on,
exactly.
I'm somewhere near Horsforth Brewery,
and it's going pretty well. We're recording a podcast now, so it's fine. But but you sorted me out because you. Out of the goodness of your heart, messaged me and said, "Look at this review for PSP Parappa the Rapper," and it was 4 out of 10 from the official PlayStation magazine, and they said the exact same things that I'd sort of said about it in terms of the port from the PlayStation 1 to the PSP. Now, no one else had sort of said that, and that would have been lost to history if you hadn't have kept your PS3 magazines. And do you know what I mean? So that kind of thing about. When I call it, inverted commas, retro gaming, which it definitely is now, it wouldn't have existed, and I wouldn't have felt any sort of vindication about that game, and that's why there's a great community around being able to. So I'm going to stop my sentence there. I feel bad about not keeping a lot of things that I kept from when I was younger, but you have, and you doing that has made me feel better about myself. So you've improved my life, so that's good. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, the random thing about that is that came out about a post that I did with the game, the PSP game, and the PSP being shown on the PSP, and I did get a lot of people saying, "I can't believe you're playing that game on the PSP." But when you look at the picture, the UMD is not in the machine because the machine is playing the PS1 version. Because I won't play for two reasons. I can't play the PSP version anymore because the UMD drive's broke. So when I went digital and I had to acquire copies, I thought, I'm not going to acquire the PSP version of the game. I'll acquire the PS1 version of the game and do it that way because that is a lot better.
Yeah. And so it sounds like an insular question, but you've listened to the podcast for a little while now. Has there been a period of time or a couple of games where you kind of thought that these are the kind of games that you would play, or what's resonated with you from listening to the podcast?
So obviously the one that I went out and actually paid quite a lot. Well, I said quite a lot of money for.
Whoa! Don't say that out loud. I feel bad about it now.
No, but it were
paid £50,000 for this game. Was shit.
How good does your hear? How good does your hear? Where that sounds like where I'm from. But it was that one because that came across really well, and I'd never really heard of the game before. But obviously, when I say I spent a lot of money, I think it should have been £15, but they had 10% off.
Yeah, it was like 13 quid.
Yeah, so it was something like that. And normally I wouldn't have done that. I'd have waited for it to go down to like a £5 or something. But I thought, do you know what? I'll just do it because Mrs. I think we're going out that weekend. And like I say, it's a couple of hours long. So while she's out that night,
it's a night in rather than a night out.
That's just it. She's out. I'm in looking after the little one. So I'll play on that for a bit, and I'll get it done in one sitting and just see what crack is. And then obviously there is some other ones as well, like where I've listened and thought I've got that somewhere and I want to give that a go. Like with Driver San Francisco, what you mentioned before, I give that one a go. I played that early this year. And it's just a weird mechanic in that game of possessing people.
It was really split on your comments when you said you were going to play it and you started putting things on there, and it definitely felt like a 50-50 of you start possessing people and you're driving the game, and some people were like, that sounds terrible, and or I know it's terrible, or that sounds like the best game, or I know it's the best game I've ever played.
Yeah, it is a weird mechanic, and you've got to get over that bit, that essentially you're possessing another person and crashing them into another car and killing them and then going back to your own body.
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
So it is an odd game.
Tanner's a fucker. He does what he wants.
He doesn't really care about other people.
For a policeman, he's a bit of a shit.
He's caused so much of that. The insurance premiums must be through the roof in that city.
He is the top end of the word renegade. I know I got confused with the Mass Effect, where it was like, oh, it's renegade, what's Paragon? Tanner's renegade. Whatever Paragon is, he is renegade. And
it's the other things that you don't think of that probably would happen in real life, like the Vatican must just be sending people to do exorcisms left, right and centre.
I mean, what else have they got to do? You know what I mean?
Well, there is something that they want to do, but they shouldn't be doing, because that's slightly illegal.
So, in terms of Beers and Bytes being here tonight in Horsforth Brewery, this is my first time doing this, but you've been 2 or 3 times now?
Yeah, a couple of times before.
How have you found, because let's just be brutally honest about this, and people that have listened to the podcast for a long time, we tried to come down here and do a gaming night, if you will. We did a little bit of Switch, we did a little bit of sort of PS2 and stuff, and it kind of died a death, if I'm going to be honest, whereas this seems to have gone from strength to strength to strength. Tonight I saw 20 people. There, you heard it right now. I saw 20 people in a small room that holds maybe 25 sat down, playing retro games, which is absolutely fantastic. That dude's having a great time, and it's just it's interesting to see almost that. It was about the setup. It was about the actual retro gaming, having the retro gaming computers out. What do you think sells this, and what do you think makes it a good night out?
This has been the better one that I've been to. So the first 2 that I came to, they had the same consoles both times. So me and my mate both said to each other, we'll skip a month and then we'll see if they bring any other ones, because obviously it just sort of gets a bit samey.
Yeah.
But I think that they probably have done that. They probably have started bringing different consoles, and they had quite a lot tonight. I think one of the things that they were missing as well previously was they didn't really have very many, or if any, 2-player games. So me and my mate would always sat on different machines doing different things, whereas when you come down together you want to try and play something together, whereas tonight, by the looks of it, I know that we didn't end up actually having to play anything.
We just ended up talking, but that wasn't a bad thing.
But they had an NES which was 2-player, they had an N64 which had 2-player, I think they had a Dreamcast set up for 2-player, so they had quite a lot of decent consoles as well. And I think that's what people want, and I think that that's what they started doing. That's why there were so many people here late as well. Well, people were packing up
on a Wednesday. I mean, I saw a guy playing Micro Machines on a Sega, and I really wanted to go over there and beat the shit out of him, but he probably would have dealt with me, I think. But anyway,
so you just want to punch him?
Just want to take him out. Do you know what I mean?
Just didn't like his face.
Probably would have been fine, right? This is the good thing about gaming and drinking. No one. people get hurt. You know, it's just something happens. I feel like it's such a nice brewery here in Horsforth Brewery, and it's such a nice room, and it's really cool that some like-minded people come together. We met a chap called Neil and a chap called Harry, and Neil was just talking about modifying his PSP and stuff. And obviously we spoke about you modifying things previously as well. What is your favourite part of gaming? Is it playing a game? Is it spending time with people playing the game? Is it modifying things? What drives you to enjoy video gaming, if that makes sense? Because it's different for everyone.
It is. Obviously, majority of my time has been spent on single-player, story-driven games, or sort of platforming games from the 80s when I was a kid. So that's the thing that I do like doing the most. I said new, it's obviously newer, probably for how long I've been playing, but the online multiplayer is good as long as you've got some like-minded people to play with. Like, obviously I play Helldivers with Joe and Eli. They're sort of wearing a 3-man sort of squad, and we play that most nights, and we have a really good laugh and we love it. And Eli's he's done some posts of some video clips of us swearing and shouting at each other and killing each other and things like that.
And again, these are the guys that I've just, I guess, generally met through social media, through Scott and stuff, and they seem like really nice people, and they're happy to share our content, and I'm happy to share their content, because they're just, like you said, it's just, it's a nice feeling for people to enjoy video games, I guess.
Yeah, and when you've all got something in common, it's good. And so they're the things that I like. And obviously, when it comes to modding and stuff like that, that's something that I'm just sort of getting into more, getting more confidence in taking things apart and seeing what they're like. And yeah, just like when I've been modding screens on Game Boys, or like you said, changing controllers, it's just modding the screens on the Game Boys just to make them actually usable today, because they're so much better.
Because you actually fucking see.
So they're actually good consoles to have, not having to sit under a direct light where you still can't see the screen. But the the controllers, that's just fun to do, just to see what it could look like. And the parts now are so readily available. Like, I get all my stuff from AliExpress. We would have never have got that for sort of 5, 10, 15 years ago. But because you can sort of see where manufacturers are being made, or additional ones, you can actually buy parts and they're cheap. So yeah, just get them, have a go, crack them open, see if you can make it look good. If you do, great. If not, it's only cost a couple of quid. You haven't really lost out. And it's sort of an extra skill to have, because if any of them break, then hopefully you've then got the confidence to take it back open again and clean any parts if something, or change something in it. So hopefully you can get a longer life out of them as well.
Yeah, and I'm now going to draw this conversation to a conclusion and ask you a question about our N64 versus PlayStation top 1. So last couple of weeks you sent a collaboration post about Ocarina of Time versus Metal Gear Solid. Which one are you picking?
Oh, Metal Gear.
It's not even hard.
No.
It's just drop it straight in there.
No, I've already said it's my favourite my favourite thing from my collection.
You've got the collection in your loft.
Yeah, I've played it through and through. I've played it over and over. It's not great to play today compared to modern games, but if I had to pick between those two, Metal Gear.
Awesome, cool. Scott, it's been great talking to you, and it's been fantastic spending the evening with you here at Horsforth Brewery. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you.